Thank you, Mr. President. Would Senator Clements yield to a question?
Senator Clements, would you yield to a question?
Yes.
Thank you, Senator Clements. Did you ever, so the last bill that we just did, LB 705, did you ever take any time and speak on that bill? I don't remember.
Probably not.
Why didn't you support the bill?
Yes, but I would rather not see 25 bills in one, and there's some that I would rather not have in the.
Which bills were you opposed to in the bill?
Also, I asked the committee chair for a total of the fiscal note where the money was coming from, probably mainly the fact that I still am sitting here working on trying to find out where all the funding is coming from. And so that would probably be my main reason.
Okay, so Senator Merman wasn't able to get you information about how LB 705 with the 25 bills in it that you say is going to be funded?
Yes, I asked late last night. I received the paper this morning and just came back from the fiscal and was still trying to do some computations on the various fund sources. There were 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 lines and 2 columns. So I'm still not clear as to what the cost of this is in our budget.
Okay, thank you. What bill, so I'm not sure it's 25 bills. Do you know if it's 25 or is that an estimation?
I don't know for sure.
Okay. Which bills were you opposed to in that package?
I wouldn't have a comment on that.
Okay. Yeah, you didn't make a comment during the debate either, so I wanted to check. Thank you, Senator Clements. Senator Erdman, would you yield to a question?
Senator Erdman, will you yield to a question? I don't believe he's present, Senator.
Okay. Senator Albright, would you yield to a question, please?
Senator Albright, would you yield to a question?
No.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for clarifying your positions. I think it's good to get on the record and note that Senator Albright's not willing to answer a question, just as she wasn't willing to answer questions about her priority bill during her committee hearing, and that Senator Clements has a problem because there are so many bills put into this package. I think that's good to get on the record because it's important that we have some kind of precedent and some kind of record of how many bills we are packing into these packages, into each of these underlying bills. Given that this may give us some legal challenges down the road, that of course the cost for that would be given to the Nebraska taxpayers. Or we could kill LB 574 and never mind all that. On LB 583, Senator Sanders' bill here, at the request of the governor, to provide for foundation aid and special education supplemental aid under the Tax Equity and Educational Opportunity Support Act, TEOSA. I'm a proud product of public schools. I went to Blair Public Schools. We didn't have any parochial schools or any private schools in Blair at the time, actually. So basically everybody went to that school, which is a common experience in Nebraska. There are more and more private schools and parochial schools now than there were when I was a kid. And I went to a Lutheran church for preschool. I went to Joy Preschool in Blair, Nebraska, but I was raised Catholic. And so I'm not sure why my parents picked that preschool, but for whatever reason, they thought that was the best thing. And I had a really great time in preschool. My preschool teacher was amazing. Mrs. Schott, Ronnie Schott. One of the things I remember most was her leaving the classroom for a little while one day, which I don't even know if a teacher could do that today, but she left the classroom for maybe 5 minutes or something. And she came, mind you, we're in preschool. What are we, 3, 4 years old? She comes back in dressed as Johnny Appleseed, and we believed it was Johnny Appleseed. And she's talking about, I'm Johnny Appleseed. I'm walking across the country and planting seeds to grow trees. And here's how I cook with apples. Then we did all these recipes with apples, and legit for years, maybe not years, but at the time, certainly we all thought that was really Johnny Appleseed, which is like one of those moments of childhood magic that a good teacher can provide. And one of the things that was always a cornerstone of my education and all of us in Nebraska was lunchtime. And whether you're going through the line in the cafeteria or you're getting a sack lunch from home, I had a sack lunch from home every single day. And any of you who know anything about my eating habits won't be surprised by this, but I ate the same lunch every day for 12 years plus kindergarten, for 13 years. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich, some kind of fruit cup, could be pears or peaches, could be applesauce, a bag of chips, a small bag of chips. I went through different phases with the chips, which was the experimental and adventurous part. We could do Fritos, we could do Lay's potato chips, or we could do Cheetos, but nothing else. And Cheetos were the only kind of chip I would accept that had any kind of flavor dust on it or something like that. Sometimes a granola bar, sometimes a pudding cup, but usually that was it. And my mom had this rule in our house: no Little Debbie, no Hostess, and no artificial sugars or like fake ingredients. And I feel like my mom was this like early granola mom, like before we, almond mom, like before we had that, which is what we call that now. And anything that we were eating or consuming was either all natural, local, farmer's market, or she made it, homemade. And one of the biggest frustrations for me with this, and for my brother too, who's 4 years younger than me, he's in the Navy and he works at the White House, which I can't believe because he's my little brother and I can't believe he got a job like that, but I love him so much and I'm so proud of him. We weren't allowed to have popsicles, like the flavor ice, the popsicles that come in the plastic tube that you can get like a box of 200 of them for $5 or something. And I loved those. They were so good. And my mom would not let us have them because they had artificial flavor and sugar. And so we would go to our friends' houses and get those flavor ice popsicles. But there was one exception in our house, and that was for Kool-Aid. And I don't know why my mom had this exception where we had to have this all natural juice, everything all the time, except Kool-Aid. Maybe it's Nebraska pride. Maybe she knows this is coming from Senator Halloran's district in Hastings. I don't know, probably not that. But she had no problem with us having Kool-Aid. And I think in retrospect, it's because Kool-Aid is an activity. Like, you don't just peel the foil off the top and drink it. You have to make it. And my mom was always trying to figure out activities for us, things we could make to keep us busy. And we did do half sugar. You're supposed to put a cup of sugar in there, and we would do a quarter cup or half a cup. But we had a Velveeta cheese. Now, don't get on her about the Velveeta cheese. I don't know why she had that. I didn't eat it. Wouldn't let me eat that. But we had an empty Velveeta cheese box in the middle drawer in our kitchen that was full of packets of Kool-Aid. And every time we went to the only 1 minute? Thank you, Mr. President. Every time we went to the grocery store, my mom would let me and my brother each pick 4 or 5 packets of Kool-Aid to bring home. And that probably kept us busy the entire time at the grocery store. Me and Matt just looking at all the different flavors of Kool-Aid. There are some flavors that are rare that are not made anymore. Pink Swamingo, the great Blue Dini, which when you pour it in, it's green, but then when you mix it up, it turns blue. And the activity of making the Kool-Aid, and so many of these flavors that are no longer even available, you can get them on eBay for hundreds and hundreds of dollars now because there are Kool-Aid collectors. But these are some of the memories that are such a cornerstone in my life from that public school experience. Thank you, Mr. President.